71 years since the uprising of the Warsaw Ghetto. Covid die Helden von Warsaw Ghetto. But also, this is a year, what is 70 years since the deportation of nearly 500,000 of Hungarian Jews. And it's also 70 years a year from the liquidation of the remnants of the Jews of Lodz Ghetto and the surroundings. I'm today going to speak not about my own experiences, not much about the ghetto life, because it's well known. What I'm going to speak today is about the death camp of Chelmno, because little is known about what actually happened and how it was conducted in this camp. Chelmno was the first death camp what was operational already at the 8th of December 1942. By January of 1942, the first deportation took place from the ghetto. And in 1942, nearly 80,000 Jews from the Lodz Ghetto were deported to Chelmno and murdered there. Up to May 1942, 56,000 Jews from the Lodz Ghetto were deported. Then in September, 20,000 so-called Sperre. But the death camp of Chelmno was already being liquidated in April 1943, because apart from the Lodz Ghetto, the remnants of the Lodz Ghetto, there were no more Jews in so-called the Lodz province, in Poznan province. So the crew, the German crew, what operated Chelmno camp, was sent to Yugoslavia to fight the partisans. But in 1944, in April, they were brought back with the aim of liquidating the remnants of the Lodz Ghetto. And in June 1944, 7,000 men and women were sent to the Chelmno death camp and were murdered there. By August 1944, once after already 2 months after D-Day, the Germans realized that they will maybe not will be able to murder all the Jews quickly in Chelmno. They directed the remnants of the Lodz Ghetto to Auschwitz. I was one of them. But Chelmno, I visited Chelmno in 1945. I visited 1996 and 2001 with my family and grandchildren. But here I've got a document, a copy actually of a document of the last 47 Jews what were still in Chelmno in January 1945. 47. Who were they? There were some cobblers, tilers, and also those who were called the Bald Commando, The task was to go to the forest, chop the wood for the furnaces. Well, there was no Jews to kill, but there were still bodies to be burned. And this was what was the task. On the 17th of January, they were taken out 5 at a time, and they were shot. Some 2 Jews, by miracle, they were not dead, managed to hide. And on the 19th of January 1945, this part of Poland and also Lodz was liberated by the Soviet army. But in this document, we can say, like the scrolls of Auschwitz, these are the scrolls of Helm. Nobody knows to this day how was possible for them to get some paper and notebook and write down their names, their families who are probably still alive somewhere in Russia or overseas. In every one of them, when I've read what I put down on paper, the last word, revenge, revenge, revenge. Because even as hardened as I am, what I went through and survived, tears still come to my eyes. I can't control myself. 4 Jews managed to escape. The 2 what I just mentioned, one was Srebnik and Żurawski. I also didn't mention, even I were witness at the trial of Eichmann in Jerusalem, I didn't mention this notebook. But this notebook was hidden away for 46 years in the Central Archives in Moscow. And after 46 years, we know when the collapse of the Soviet Union, the archives were open, and so this notebook was found. How was it, how did it be possible? One of those last 47 was able to hand it over, the notebook, to a Polish farmer. And this Polish farmer kept it and then handed it over to a Russian high-ranking officer. The high-ranking officer realized the importance of this notebook, handed it over to higher authorities, and I handed it over to the anti-fascist committee in Moscow. And it was kept in those archives in Moscow for 46 years. Well, this is why I choose to speak about it tonight, because it's part of our Jewish tragedy. And the tragedy is so immense. And I live it with it every day of my life. I'm sure most of you knows what I'm doing, because I promised, if I will survive, I will tell whoever want to know, don't want to know, what actually happened. I was spoken to tens of thousands of high school students, of adults. I went on the March of the Living with students Jewish students from across the world. And I am part of this, and of the Holocaust Museum. where at the age of nearly 90, I am blessed with good memory and good health. And I will do and remember what happened and never, never let it happen again. It's so important because the program of the Holocaust Jewish Museum is so important. Nearly 600,000 high school students from across Victoria went through the 30 years of the existence of the museum. And I speak in the name not only of myself or my family. When I speak to those students, I'm always speaking in the name of the 6 million Jewish men, women, and children what can't tell what actually happened to them. Because otherwise, they will be erased from the memory. Our mission statement also says that this museum was established to fight racism, anti-Semitism, bigotry, and help to educate the present and future generations. We Jews are some people. And I hope that the people, that the second and third generation and generations to come will follow. For my part, I'm so proud that my son is a guide now in the museum. My grandson and my son went with me on the March of the Living. We were 3 generations there. And I told, and I'm always telling the students, non-Jewish, because 98% of them are not Jewish, that with mine and my wife, Sesha Survival, there are 3 generations of Jews, good people, caring people, and we hope that they will carry on after myself. I know I'm not going to be around forever, but I hope to be around for some time yet. And this is the legacy what I'm leaving to you, young Jewish people and non-Jewish people. Because how could we measure our success? Not only the thousands of letters what we received, but former students who are now teachers bringing their students to the museum. And I experienced it on many times. Once I experienced with one school, 3 former students comes, finish the education as teachers, and they become what they were, and some of them went also to Yad Vashem for the education part, what takes place every December of every year. Well, and I am also telling them a message. I always am finishing my message. And my message to them is that we all should remember that all of us belong to the same human race. No difference of the color of our skin, or the shape of our eyes. What hurts one human being hurts also another. I also tell them to remember that when they will grow up, they will have their own families. Not every day is going to be a sunny day. There will be days in their life what will be an overcast. But they should also remember that after an overcast days, the sun is going to shine. This is the message I'm carrying practically on daily basis for the last 30 years. At this note, I'm going to finish and say that never those who perished and left in this notebook about revenge. We could have taken revenge. We could have killed, but we were no killers. And we realized if we kill, we become murderers.